now. Welcome to another episode of Girls in the Quantum. Today we have a special, well, she's not special. She's more than special. She's going to be part of our girls because we have Girls in the Quantum. Girls means a lot of girls, not just me and Nancy, but we have Catherine Ann Wilson here with us today from Maine. Hi, Catherine.
Woo! Welcome,
Hi,
Catherine,
good
you
morning.
beautiful creature.
Hi.
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 Hi. And of course, we have Nancy Pentilla, quantum healer from Timmins, Ontario, and Susan the Love Hooker from Montreal. And here we are today. We're going to be talking about how to mend a broken heart. Is it really broken? Is it not? Does it feel, it really feels like it, but I want all of us to really dive in on what it means. What is the feeling of a broken heart? And is it really the doom of all doom? Is it really the end of the world? Or how can we quickly move through it rather than avoid it? And I think it's really important that we bring an understanding on what a broken heart means and how to move through it. And let's start with Catherine Ann Wilson to really talk about what a broken heart is. But before you start, Catherine, I want to introduce you to the audience because not that usually our audience knows who Catherine Ann Wilson is, but Catherine has a story in itself, just in case they don't know, because we have listeners from all over the world. Catherine is the founder of Stop Trafficking US, and she is the greatest advocate for the protection of young children against sexual molestation or assault at an early age. So she is in the preventative section of the human trafficking, sex trafficking, just anything that protects children. And I am so honored to have you here, Catherine, as together with Nancy, because her mission is to protect children as well. That's what she does. We've gone through the process of what she was, her finding her positioning within this whole world of protecting our children, because there are rescuers, there are so many people that are advocating the protection of our children. But you sit in a very unique space, Catherine, where you are more in the education side. And man, what you do is just incredible. But you're more than that though, Catherine. You are a woman. You are somebody with a story. You are somebody that have overcome some of the, I look at you guys and I'm like, if I would have lived even 10% of your life, I don't know if I would have survived. Like, honestly, I'm just some little person in a bubble compared to the stories that you have. But Catherine, welcome. Literally, we are so honored and having so much fun with you here because your voice matters, and especially where it comes to the broken heart. And I know your story inside out, of course, because we recorded your story. So I'm like, how many broken hearts am I going to have to go through with this entire story, Catherine? You've had so many broken hearts, disappointment, but also I think just the whole heartbreaking moments in your life where people have just disappointed you because you're trying to live in that light. But the 3D world is not that light. So how do you even reconcile with it? So Catherine, I'm going to leave the stage to you right now.
Thank you for that. It's always such a gift to have conversations with women that your heart aligns with. You know, that is just there's nothing better than being able to speak to soul sisters, and recording it so that we can reach even more people is some of the cool things about technology that we get to do this. It's just such an honor. As a survivor myself and someone who has worked with a lot of survivors, that relationship broken heart is just a theme. You know, there are as human beings, I believe we're a spiritual being having a human experience, and coming into this world as a human being in a human being body, there are things that we need to develop into a healthy grown-up. There's developmental processes that need to happen. We need to be safe and protected, and we need to be curious and learn and feel that safety. And when we don't get that, and you don't have to be a survivor to not get that, there's all varying degrees. And we've talked a lot about not comparing stories. So somebody else's story could be less or more or whatever, but wherever it's at, when we don't get that, that becomes like this craving that we look for in others. So what we most needed as a child that we didn't get, if we don't heal that properly, then we are just a love avoider or we're a love addict and we're trying to fill that from outside of us. And that alone is such a spiritual journey, learning that everything that we thought we could get out there is really within us. And that's where the work begins. So when I hear you say the words broken heart, to me, it is the loss of a fantasy. It is just this loss of this dream, and the dream is directly connected to that little child. So it's not like a grown-up broken heart. It's the devastation of a disappointed child who is longing to have something fulfilled in them so that they could grow to be all they could be, and now it's lost, and it's very dramatic. it's it's lost and I'll never find it. And that, there's such drama in it. I did want to just say one thing. As an adult in my early 40s, I was just sick and tired of having panic attacks, and Pia Melody is a wonderful person. She wrote a book called The Intimacy Factor, which really dives into the love avoidant, love addictive roller coaster. And it's an excellent book. But so she was running a place called the Meadows in Wickenburg, Arizona. And it was for trauma, for addictions, for various things. And those developmental stages I talked about, she developed a 5-week program that people with addictions to pornography or drugs or food or stealing or whatever there. And they also have a thing called the Survivors Weekend. But I checked myself in for the 5 weeks. I'm like, I'm tired of these anxiety attacks. I had 20 years of being abused, 20 years of working tenaciously to get over it. I can't take medicine, but maybe there's some magic cure. I'm checking myself in. And when you do, there's 3 days that people with addictions go through withdrawal. So as somebody who doesn't have that addiction to a drug, I'm sort of watching my fellow residents, I guess. I don't want to call them patients, but fellow residents of that place wake up. And you're in a special, small group, and then you're in big groups. It's very educational. You definitely get a college education on trauma there. And I'm watching everybody wake up except for this one guy. And in group, people are, you can see their personalities over the 72 hours. And this one guy is still in group, just rocking in group. And I'm like, what drug is this guy on that everybody else from meth and crack and heroin or whatever, cocaine, are waking up, but he's not? Like, what is this drug that he is still like suffering? And this blew me away. It was a broken heart. It was a broken heart. He was codependent, and he just didn't want to go on without his relationship, his person. And I was like, wow, this is a profound moment. That what we're talking about is even more deep, embedded, painful than the withdrawals of whatever drug. It's real. So when somebody is suffering, the pain that they're feeling, no matter where it comes from, the wish, the fantasy, whatever, the finance, whatever it is, it's real. And we want to honor that pain and the reality of how profound heartbreak really is, as well as give them hope, which I'm sure we'll go to.
Oh my gosh, Catherine, that is
Amazing.
beautiful. Well, you know what, Catherine? I mean, everything you say totally resonates with both of us. I could feel, the crazy thing is I'm sitting on the screen here, both of you on either side of me. I could feel the vibration, Nancy's vibration just shoot through the roof every moment you spoke, because we're sitting here with a love addict. She really is addicted to anything love. Like,
my eyes are like full of tears. I'm like, the poor guy. Oh my God. Yeah, it's so touching.
Yeah, you're the love sprinkler. But Nancy, why don't you share some of the feelings? I could feel you, both of you, right either side of me. But Nancy, tell me how are you feeling as you're listening to Catherine describe all that? Because your frequency was just all over the place, through the roof, on the ground.
And It's unreal. Well, just connecting with Catherine today, I'm like, oh, I feel choked up because your story is so incredible and you're so inspiring, Catherine. Like the love that you exude, like I haven't seen you in a bit, and I'm just like in awe. Like my heart's just like, and I love you too, Susan, you know that. But I haven't connected with Catherine in so long, and it's just such a different feeling because I know your story. Like I talk about you to people, how inspiring you are, and I talk about your story because I've had trauma in my life, but when I think of you, I'm like, unbelievable. Like what you have been through and what you are doing for humanity is deeply inspiring. Like my heart's just like expanding so much right now when you speak and in your presence. When you speak, you just take people right into your heart so deeply, and I can feel you. It's so powerful. Like the love that you exude and the understanding and the compassion you have for humanity really touches me deeply. And it was like in tears. Oh, it's crazy. Just amazing. I love you guys so much. I'm so blessed to be here with both of you. You're just such gifts to humanity, such gifts to our world. I'm amazed. This is so incredible to be with you guys.
Well, you have your own story as well. And this is the thing is like, because I know, I don't even know your story, Nancy, as much as I know Catherine's, because of course, Catherine and I, we've gone through her story just to the detail where it's like, wow, that is becoming a movie now for me in my head. But I mean, I've listened to every detail of every heartbreak, and I'm sure we only reach a percentage of it. She would need a whole week of 10 hours a day to go through her entire story. But just what I've heard is enough for me to know, wow, this person is a master of heartbreak and how to mend it. And even then, we never become the perfectionist in mending broken hearts, because this is what life is all about. And this is from my point of view. Of course, I didn't go through the traumas that you have. I have my own little things that I've gone through, which feels as massive as anybody else. But Nancy, you have your own fair share of heartbreaks, and it is that always that seeking to be loved by somebody. And Nancy, your story is like crazy, and how many years you've gone with just seeking that love from that one person. Never mind the whole world. We don't care about the world love. We just want one person to see us, hear us, understand us, and love us for whatever we are, especially if you've gone through early childhood traumas with sexual trauma, right? That's a whole different ballgame. Like we're having to rebuild boundaries that we don't even know what they look like because they've been taken away. You're like a filterless walking sponge, and anything will seep in. Swampland, water, clear water, dirty water. Like,
swampland.
Yeah, it is like anything will go to that sponge. So Nancy, you had the same thing. And you didn't even talk about it for a long time. So can you imagine, Catherine, somebody going through that and then not having anybody to even say it to for so long? And so some of the things that you've done even in your own life, Nancy, that you've gone and sought love in the most craziest way, accepted things that you didn't want to accept, tolerated things that you didn't even know you shouldn't tolerate. How do you go through all those broken hearts?
Well, I know now how life is a mystery, right? So we may never understand why certain things have happened, and you may not have closure to certain experiences you've had in your life or losses. And that's okay. That's something we have to all accept, is that life is a mystery, and we have to move on. Like we have to do the work. The biggest thing is, like Catherine said, is healing that inner child, going within. Like all the answers really are inside of you. But for me, the biggest thing was when I started to connect to the creator more. And when I started doing healing work for others many years ago, like I didn't go into it thinking I was the healer. I never had that perspective that I'm a healer, but I was purely a conduit. And so that is where I would always connect regularly, is when I'm serving others, and that's coming through me. It's like I was receiving healing and becoming more wise and aware because of that force coming through, healing me while it's coming through to heal the person I'm serving. So it kind of started that healing process back then, which is a few decades ago. But to be honest with you, like as my marriage is quite the healing journey as well, and learning environment, my husband's been a huge catalyst for my transformation. Because when I first met him, he was on the path of, delving into Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer. So he introduced me to a lot of things. So that's when my deeper transformation started. But before him, I never really spoke about my story at all. Like none of my friends knew that I grew up with. Nobody knew. But Luke was my catalyst. Luke was the one who made it safe for me. But yeah, that's basically when it started. I started talking about my story like just over 20 years ago with him, not with the world. It was hard because there's so much shame when people start talking about their story, when they've been abused in any way. But, sexual trauma when you're just a toddler or whatever, like it's your soul that knows that's not right. But yet your mind and your being will actually feel like there's something inherently wrong with you because that happened. You attracted it, you created it somehow, you manifested that. So it's like a deep shame and a deep guilt, which stops people from even wanting to talk about their story. So until you have a safe space or a safe human or a safe pet or something to start talking to, you'll carry that and you'll continue to have a broken heart and continue with patterns of people pleasing and martyrdom and teaching people how to disrespect you and not love you and not see you for who you are. So people are really keeping their truth inside, and that is going to keep you in patterns of regular heartbreak, like patterns of heartbreak. You'll be heartbroken over the littlest seemingly rejective response from someone, or, the littlest things will make you feel heartbroken. Another piece of your heart breaking, another piece, because you've never gone to do the work. You've never voiced your truth. You've never voiced your story. So everything will feel like heartbreak practically if it's not going your way, if it's not how you expected it to be. So doing that work, just starting with voicing your story to someone you're safe with, seeing a counselor, a coach, a healer, someone you trust, you have to resonate. Start voicing your story. Even start writing it out, reading it out loud. Like when you write things down and read it out loud, oh my gosh, you start that liberating process in your cells, in your DNA. You start to liberate your heart. It may start to open just a little bit and let that golden light of the creator flow in and start the healing, right? That's the healers, our creators, in my belief. And that the healing process will start with that. If you have no one you really feel safe with, at least start writing out your story and start reading it out loud. But it is good to have support because sometimes it can feel like you're re-injuring yourself, and you could maybe go into a healing crisis if you don't have support, if your story is that intense, right, for you.
This is really important. You bring up a really good point. I think Catherine also believes this as well, but your voice is the start of the healing. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to even speak it to yourself. And I think the work, quote and unquote, the work is really working towards that, removing the shame that we have about ourselves first. Mm-hmm. And yes. I think, do you think, Catherine, I mean, really, because we are ashamed of ourselves, never mind the world, fearing the world shaming us. So what do you think about the shame? Because that's a big topic, right?
Well, I was on a long drive. I'm not at my home office right now. I'm way up 5 hours north, almost to the Canadian border right now. And I had a guest passenger in my car, a young man, like 19, I think. And he said that he was taking a break from dating right now because he found that he kept attracting the same kind of girl at 19 years old. You have to have a strong why. So I have young people in my life, and I see their why. Their why is they really want to have a healthy, loving relationship. And I have other people in my life who aren't willing to do any work. So I think when you have a strong why, when I had escaped my situation and I was 17 and pregnant and got married and had this little baby, all of a sudden my why was I I want I had been given hope. I read some scripture about community and communities helping each other. I don't know if it was in Ephesians or Galatians in the Bible, was talking about people helping each other and serving each other and lifting each other up and having that safe, like a family. It was like the community was family. And I'm like, yes, please. I'd love to have that. So how do I get that? Well, I'm going to have to learn. I don't know how to do anything. What don't I know? Well, I don't know how long to hug somebody, and I don't know how to fight. I don't know interpersonal communication skills. I don't know conflict resolution. So I had to learn all of these things. So my strong why was I wanted that love. I wanted that community. I wanted family. I wanted to have healthy relationships. So I had this driver. I wanted to be as healthy as I could be for this baby. I needed to learn what stage of development my baby was, and what does that child need at this age, and how can I give that to him, and how do I have a relationship with this guy I've only known for 3 months and now I'm married to him? Like, how do you what does relationship look like? What does boundaries look like? And I studied, I studied those things. And Nancy was talking about that broken feeling. And I think that you don't have to do a deep dive for healing. You have a strong why. You figure out what are the things that you need to learn, and then you take action on that. And whatever needs to heal in you will come up. If it doesn't come up, you don't have to be a grave digger. It will naturally come up. Ram Dass said, if you want a spiritual path, you don't need to go to an ashram. Just go spend some time with your family, and your stuff will show up. And so I really believe that as a person who says, okay, I want to have a healthy relationship, you have to understand that you are attracting whoever you are. I love that movie, What the Bleep Do You Know? I thought that really described it so well. And I was telling this young man, I said, listen, imagine Swiss cheese. And I'm a piece of Swiss cheese with the dress on, and there's 4 holes. And somebody else, and you're dressed like a man, and you have 6 holes or 2 holes. And we go to a party, we go to an event. I guarantee you, I am going to bring somebody home who's different. This person, male or female, like this person is just, this is different. The feeling is different. It's not going to be the same thing. Take off their dress, it's going to be the same amount of holes as I have. You will continue to attract your vibration, if you will. That's why that Abraham Hicks work, just listening to those YouTubes about energy and about what you're putting out there is so important. And Byron Katie's thework.com, asking yourself some questions. What am I believing right now? I'm believing that I'm unworthy. I'm believing that I'm never going to find anybody. Well, how do I behave when I hold that belief? Well, I behave distant. I do all this sort of crazy behavior. How would I behave if I believed that the world was working to my greatest good? How would I behave then? What would I think and how would I behave? Is that more in alignment with who I want to be and how I want life to come to me? Or is the other one? And then making that conscious decision to fake it till you make it. There's so many great things out there. I'd mentioned Pia Melody's The Intimacy Factor. Donald Walsh, Conversations with God is awesome. Michael Singer's book, Untethered Soul, and his latest one, Living Untethered. Fantastic for getting rid of some of your wounds. Healing the child within, like Nancy was talking about. If you can't afford a therapist, or if you're looking one, the Terry Real, REAL, I think it's Life Institute, but you can just Google Terry Real. You put in your zip code anywhere in the world, and he'll tell you who is a trauma-trained, relational-trained therapist. And if you're seeing a therapist and you're not getting movement after 3 or 4 weeks, let that person go and get somebody else. But there's tons of tools and resources out there.
People need to hear that there are solutions. And I think within this circle of Girls in the Quantum, we're always solutions oriented. That's what we're here for. And we do have compassion and empathy, of course, for, sometimes we're not in that space where we can even see solutions. But one of the things, we did a recording not too long ago on Down the Rabbit Hole of Self-Help. One of the things I always am a proponent of is the healing work is not the end all be all. You need to keep your eyes on what the purpose of doing the healing is. Otherwise, it really is a dark rabbit hole, because then you're seeking perfection, which doesn't even exist. So it's like driving a car. There's a rear view mirror for a reason, not to use 100%. we still need to keep our eyes on where we're going. So let's say for myself, I mean, geez, talk about heart. I mean, the only thing I've ever wanted was to find the ultimate love. But then it required me to learn what that was even like, or what is it even? Because yeah, it's all in the soul level, everything is perfect. We know the perfection, we know everything. But then the real world, when we're living it, that's the blind side. I always call it the ultimate blind side, is our souls mind and our body's journey is not in alignment with each other. And that alignment is the work. And I'll give an example of, just for me, voice has been always the thing for me. And as loudmouth as I am, it didn't start out that way. I think I started out born a loudmouth, but then I got shut down because I was a loudmouth. So I got shut down. And the heartbreaks and the blind sides that I've experienced was purely the inferiority of my race and my culture. The programming that I had to go through with telling my parents, just making sure that I stay under the radar. You don't belong here, Susan. You're not part of the people here. You're second class. You're inferior, and all that. Like that just was programmed into me because my voice is loud, so I can be seen, and when you're seen, it's trouble, right? So anyway. But I had to face racism. I had to face prejudice. I had to face all that in the world. That to me is a big heartbreak, when you're not even accepted for the person that you are. I can't hide. I do look Chinese, but I don't sound Chinese. So that even causes a lot of confusion. So I had to be very clear in how I show up to the world. But I'll give just one example of not having the voice when you know you should. I was in a movie theater. I was 13 years old. I was in a movie theater with a man that was much older than I. He must have been 19. And the entire 2 hours of that movie, he couldn't keep his hands off of me. But I felt that cringe of disgustingness. And the entire time I sat frozen without speaking one peep. That's 2 hours of traumatic minutes passing. And I'll never forget that. And it made me so angry with myself for so many years, so angry. But that wasn't the beginning. Something else happened when I was 7 with a dentist. He didn't sexually assault me, but he basically, when you could feel as a young child, the hate, that hate when you walk into a room, somebody's looking at you, the eyes, you feel the hate. I know you felt it, Catherine, because I know certain parts of your story. And that person is about to hurt you, and you know it. And I felt it, but of course, at 7 years old, I'm sitting there, I'm about to get a filling. He started drilling without even giving me a freeze. That was the first moment of my heart just cracked, where crazy glue was not going to help. It took years of my resentment towards myself, resentment towards the world. I became angry. I hurt people along the way. And how do we mend that broken heart? Because all I wanted was love. All I wanted was to find love, to be loved, to find that one person that will protect me for life. And geez, you said it, Catherine, and you said it, Nancy. The one thing, I think the secret to success, to mending a broken heart from even childhood, because we have to go back there. It leads to all broken hearts going forward. So we do have to go back and really understand how to learn. How to learn is such a skill, because that's the secret sauce. For all three of us that are sitting here, having done a lot of the work, the only work that we had to do was, number one, keep with the faith. How do you keep the faith going? How do you feed that faith rather than feed the fear? Number two, learn to learn. I see so many people that don't know how to learn. I have one client, powerful, didn't even start doing the work until she was 50. She was sexually traumatized, sold by her father at the age of 5 to his friends. And she had never done therapy, never done the work, healing, nothing, until she was 50. I just can't believe this person still exists in this world, but she's powerful. And she asked me the other day, she's still working with me. She goes, okay, Susan, I want to ask you a funny question. She goes, I want love. That's all. So I'm helping her really attract that love that will protect her and not hurt her, because, part of the work is, okay, what are you attracting? Oh, narcissist, or this person's, so we have to go through that process. So the other day she goes, okay, Susan, she goes, what type of woman do I have to become for the man that I want now. Because she knows the teddy bear. We call him the teddy bear. That's the avatar, the teddy bear. So she's starting to realize, okay, hold on. I'm attracting men that are effeminate, like they're very weak emotionally, so which means she's very masculine. So now she's learning, okay, I need to be a little bit more feminine if I need to attract. So I put her on a journey of watching all these movies. I want you to watch all these movies, these beautiful movies. Look at each woman's character and what they represent and which one resonates with you, and then start detailing the characteristics that you want to embody within yourself. Catherine, you've done this. Remember in your early 20s, you had to look at, okay, hold on, what type of woman do I want to become? And what kind of person do I want to become? And then you have to go and meet people and start analyzing it, right, Catherine?
You get to choose. And that's what, Tony Robbins said he did to get Sage. When he got his divorce, he saw healthy relationships with his friends, and he went to not his friends, but his friends' wives and said, how did Joe get you? Like, what did he even do? Like, how does that work? How do I get somebody as cool as you? And then he took notes on what all the different women said, and he knew who he needed to become in order to attract that kind of person. Right? We do get to play. We get to find out who do I want to be. By the way, I want to make sure that I mention Dr. Gabor Mate.
Oh, he's amazing. I love him.
I love him, and anybody who is interested in healing childhood wounds, or see their childhood stuff coming up. You talked about the dentist. Boy, honoring that little child who wanted to feel safe in the dentist's office where you are so vulnerable, giving that child part of you that love, that is so important. But so I imagine that so I'm a Star Trek fan. So I imagine that there's all these personalities, and or maybe on the other side, Mother Teresa and, all the people, Princess Di, whoever, it could be living or dead. There's all these personalities. And I say, who do I need to show up today for this Zoom? Who do I need to show up if I'm doing competitive bodybuilding? Competitive bodybuilding, I remember practicing my posing and my coach saying, you look terrified. And I'm like, because I am terrified. And so I had to embody RuPaul, a 6 foot something tall black man in drag. But that's who I took down. And you bet you got to know that every single one of my competitions, I took the top 4 because, girl, you got to work. When I was able to meet the Walmart, so back in the day, I was a national salesperson, and I got a meeting with the Walmart Corporation, 47 of their decision makers in Bentonville, Arkansas. So I'm like, hold down who I need to be. I need to be calm and I need to be authentic. And this is how I want to show up. So in every situation, you can fake it. You can be more of who you already are. You can dress a certain way. When you have your why and you believe that you can pull down what you need, you know that your healing path, you don't need to dig up graves. It will show up for you. When the problem does show up, you allow it to be, which we learned from Michael Singer. We don't stuff it down, push it away, because what we push away, we get more entangled in. When we let go of pushing or ignoring or drinking it away, exercising it away, whatever away, and we say, hey, what's coming up? This issue is coming up. Okay, well, boy, where did that come from? And oh, that little child was in the dentist's office and that dentist was cruel. And so I feel unsafe. And so I'm going to make myself a badass so nobody can do that to me again. Okay, well, let me go back and just love that child. And let me say, I don't need to show up in a mean way. But what do I need to do to feel safe in this situation? Who do I need to be? What energy do I need to put on? And how can I be authentic? And then move forward. And that's the thing. It is progress, not perfection. It's progress, not perfection. And how you know you're on the right track is you wake comfortable in your skin. You wake up comfortable in your skin. How do you know you have work to do? When you overreact, Nancy was saying, boy, I just have this overreaction. Overreaction, ding, ding, ding. Is that is your, and you were using the analogy of the car, Susan. Absolutely. Your red light is on when you are overreacting or underreacting to what should be appropriate in any situation. And you don't have to do, if I'm having a I have had a reaction in the grocery store. I had a smell. I had a smell and it reminded me of an offender. And I felt it. And I felt myself constrict. Ding, ding, ding. Constriction is a red flag. Constriction. I said, okay, that person reminded me of the offender. How do I feel in my skin? Wow, I feel really constricted. What do I need to do? My little child feels instantly unsafe. I feel you feeling instantly unsafe, little child. Um, can we go through the checkout counter? Do we need to leave our full cart of groceries and walk out this door right this minute? Because if that's what you need to do, I'm here, little girl. I'll walk you right out that door. What do we need? Thank you. I can make it through the checkout counter, but then we get to the car, I need to cry. That's what we'll do. It is just, you can't have those conversations if you are always desensitizing yourself with distraction. That is where meditation, for me, taking 10 minutes twice a day, you don't have to meditate. You don't have to listen to your whatever app on your phone. You don't have to like spend, like I did, a lot of money for your mantra. Just be quiet for 10 minutes, watch all the monkey stuff happening in your brain, and just red helium balloon it, or as Ram Dass taught, train car. All the stuff comes up, goes into the train car. Thank you for sharing. Here's fear. Thank you for sharing. Here's physical sensations. Thank you for sharing. Do what you need to do, and then keep moving forward.
It's a great way of releasing all those monkey thoughts. I call it's the ego's thoughts of like old patterns. That's all it is. But it's causing you to have reactions. And this is what you just described is one of the most powerful techniques for how to deal with that self-dialogue for triggers, how to get yourself out of a trigger. That's really an important piece. I have a client that suffers from PTSD, and that's one of the things she learned in her trauma work was every time she gets triggered, which was it's a lot less now, but every time she gets triggered, she has to go through those 3 questions. Am I safe? And it's just to stop and anchor in, because we're so used to just running to the next thing to avoid dealing with the triggers. But if we avoid the triggers, they will just keep happening to the point where you're just going to be debilitated physically, right, Nancy? I mean, we talk a lot about in our other talks about how to get back into your body and feel safe in it, because that's a start, right? How do you feel safe in your own body to even recognize and not let those negative feelings or fears even stop you in your tracks to be able to deal with it? So feeling safe in our body and allowing ourselves to feel is a big piece of the work, right, Nancy?
Absolutely. And that's why I talked about writing things down, like just starting with that. You don't have to be a grave digger. That's not at all what I was talking about, but to actually start, give yourself a voice, open the door, just open the freaking door. That's all you need to do. And if you have to do it alone to start, and if it gets to be too much for you, then you stop, you reach out to someone, or you go meditate, you pray. Like prayer is so powerful. And before you write anything down, before you even engage in prayer and meditation, ask for protection from the angels around you. We have guides, we have our creator, we have angels. You can call in the Holy Spirit, whatever you need to do to make sure that energy is pure. You can have that supportive energy with you, and you will likely do this with grace. You won't be overwhelmed necessarily, but you need to let it flow through you. You have to open a door. You have to start somewhere. And sometimes people just starting to meditate, they judge themselves so much, they don't know how to meditate, they'll give up instantly. So that's why I believe in starting to clear the path, starting to get some of that out of you. And then you might be able to sit still and welcome what comes through with a little more grace. Be in your heart a little more, because you're lightening the layers. And throughout life, you're going to be peeling back layers. That's just how it is. Nobody knows everything. We're always learning, we're unlearning, we're relearning, we're reprogramming. But if you don't open that door and at least start and let your voice be heard, then you're just going to be confused, because you need to have that clarity of having your story start to flow through you. A lot of people have shut their story down in their subconscious so badly that they won't know how to start or what's coming up with them. They'll just be uncomfortable with something triggering them, and then they'll just go have a beer or whatever. So if you're not taking time to consciously sit with yourself and allow the story to start to flow through you somehow, then you're not going to be able to actually meditate, I find anyway, because there's just too much built up. So if you give it a voice, then you'll be able to meditate more easily. And when you're constantly triggered, your cells are getting triggered. Your cells are becoming toxic. You literally create dis-ease in your body. Dr. Gabor Mate, I love him. I've been following him forever. He's just such an incredible man. He actually came to Timmins for a one-day seminar. I'm like, this man needs to be here regularly. Like, he was incredible. Like, seeing him in person, I mean, like, I love that man. I love his books. I love everything. I highly recommend him for his trauma conferences, everything he does. But if you're constantly being triggered and never allowing those triggers to heal, those patterns to shift, then you are creating dis-ease in your body, which will lead to dysfunction, which can lead to cancers, MS. Like, there's When the Body Says No, that's Dr. Gabor Mate's book, one of his first, maybe his first book. And he talks all about that, how he interviewed his clients, and they all were people pleasers and martyrs and stuff, where they were, holding things inside and suppressing trauma, suppressing their emotions, their truth, and they were getting sick from it. There's even Dr. Hammer. We studied under him years ago, and he is an oncologist from Germany, and he did CAT scans in the brain of his patients, and he discovered that in certain areas of the brain, there were concentric rings related to each type of disease. So say prostate cancer would be in a certain area of the brain, and there were 2 different issues related to women or not having children. Those were the 2 causes for prostate cancer. So when he would counsel his clients, his patients, he would do the CAT scans again, and they'd be gone. Those rings would be gone, and the cancers were gone. So that's how powerful it is to do the healing, to honor your story, to learn from it, to grow from it, to shift those patterns, but to know that you're not done when you do one thing. It's a journey. It's always a journey. And you need to have rituals where you're meditating regularly, where you're doing detoxifying breath work, do the yoga. Movement clears your body. Like, I've talked about soul dancing, and it really works. There's also shake medicine. There's so many different things you can do to heal your cells and to let go of trauma out of the body. It's so important, because your whole being, like, you're not a fragmented being. It's your mind, your body, your heart, your soul, and your energy. And energy is huge, 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 huge. You have blocks, you're going to get sick.
His latest book is called The Myth of Normal:
Yes.
Trauma, Illness, and Healing in a
Amazing.
Toxic Culture. I love that. And you had also mentioned the Holy Spirit. And I remember being brokenhearted, just devastated by the loss of a relationship. And I remember just hysterically crying, because this guy was like the greatest love, and just screaming out to God, like, why? Can a sister get a break? The one thing that I've wanted my whole life, is just love. And this guy fit the bill in so many different ways. And what I've learned, and then I met my husband Charlie, just a few short years later. And that guy went on to be arrested in Cambodia for selling meth, and went to Cambodian prison. You just can't make stuff up. Anyway, so it's crazy. I've learned to, and whatever you call it, Mother, Father, God, I call it Mother, Father, God, the Holy Spirit, trust. When I feel like the world is happening to me, then I feel bad. And when I choose to believe, I call it the power of pretending. And it's such a huge tool for me. When I choose to believe that the world is happening for me, that changes everything. So, okay, I don't know why that relationship didn't work out, but I'm going to choose to believe that there is a reason that it didn't. I'm going to continue doing my work, and I'm going to continue moving forward. Those little carburetor adjustments in my thought, my husband, Charlie, isn't perfect. Like, can the guy not like aim in the hole of the toilet? Why do men miss? I have no idea. It drives me crazy. Right? Am I the only one? Like the toilet paper holder, for God's sake, when it is empty, pick what when I let go of expectations. So I've been 13 years with Charlie now. He's never going to like do that stuff. Like I let go of the expectation that he is going to remember my anniversary or buy me, take me on a fabulous trip for my birthday. That's not who he is. If I want the fabulous trip, I need to plan it. If I want the great gift that's perfect for me, I need to buy it.
Hmm.
He's never going to be that guy. And he shows me that he loves me. I'll come home and he has made me a bed for the end of my dock. He carves out these giant hearts, paints them red. I have the cabana of love. I have the she shed office of love. He does these beautiful things. We're at a restaurant that has no dancing. A great song comes on. Does that stop him that there's no dancing there? No. He pulls me up and we're dancing in the restaurant. So he shows me he loves me in other ways. But if I try to have it in a box, like I need it to look like this, well, then I'm disappointed. Then I'm disappointed. I'm constricted, not expanded. I'm miserable versus happy. So if I can let go of the expectation of how other people should show up, not, I'm not saying don't allow yourself to be abused. I'm not saying not have boundaries. By the way, the book, The Boundaries, is awesome. But, letting go of the expectations and exchanging them for appreciations. Wow, that is so great that you did this for me. Hey, you made it in the toilet this morning. Thank you. Whatever it is, right? And that power of pretending everything is working to my good, even though I might not understand it, and keep moving forward.
I think that is so key. Oh my goodness. It's part of the gratitude thing, right? Rather than pooping on the gift, let's celebrate the gift. At the same time, identifying, well, what are our priorities? Don't we always have to pick our fights in the world? We have to really prioritize. And
Yeah.
that's part of the boundaries development work is let's identify what your core values are. Let's identify what is important to you. Let's identify what we need as people. And
Right.
women, we don't think about that enough because we're so scared to need, because God forbid we're needy. And I think we've lost the understanding of what the English language is even all about. What is wrong with needing a man to serve us? There's nothing wrong with us. And not that we can't serve ourselves. Hey, yeah, but what fun is that after a while? So it's okay to need. And I think I want to leave everybody with my final two words to live by. And it's okay. It's just okay to be whatever you are in that moment, keeping your eyes on the treasure at the end always. What is that goal? Let's forget about the word goal, because even goals triggers a lot of people. But what is it that you want out of your life? If you want love, then that is the treasure. Then you have to learn how to love and how to be loved. It's all about identifying what you want or need, because sometimes we're not even at the desire part. We're at the survival need. But let's figure that out, keep our eyes on that, and then learn how to get there and be okay to learn and not sabotage ourselves because we're just too stupid or something. It's never too late to start, but it's always too late to wait. All three of us, well, Nancy, you're younger. I'm in my mid-50s. We're in our 50s. You can do look at Catherine. She's still working out and getting her body in shape all the time. Doesn't matter whether you're 50 or 60 or 70. Okay. Take care of yourself while you're doing the work towards what you need and what you want. And that's the only thing I have to say. And then you'll be able to manage those disappointments and broken hearts and learn to use your thinking and managing your expectations. And why are you expecting so much? Why are you not able to be in gratitude, rather stick in judgment? Because if Charlie's not getting you what you want and it's toilet paper, well, why judge it? He is what he is. It doesn't make him a bad person. So what? So the toilet paper roll, I have to roll it from the bottom rather than the top. Catherine, that's why you really resonate with Kevin, because Kevin is like, he's ultra connected with like consciousness that his expectations is on that higher level, and he
Yeah.
tends to forget that we have to have compassion for the 3D, you know, just the craziness of this world. It doesn't make sense. And does it have to make sense? No, it doesn't. I
Well,
think
staying with you for a few days, I got to see you and Kevin, and since it was a work-related thing, watching how you served each other is just a beautiful thing. Just watching how you lovingly were in service to each other. Guests coming in, you did this and he did that. It was just amazing. And Nancy, your social media presence, you exude love. I mean, you are the queen of love. Every post, every picture, like I don't even know how you find this stuff. And be, being the queen of love, I think there's no better manifestation or truth or validation than what you've created in your son. Your son is the DNA product of that love that you and your husband have, that love that you guys embody in him. I wish for every child on the planet to have a mom. I don't know your husband, but obviously it has to be your mate to produce such an amazing young man. And the fact that Nancy and Susan, you have come together to offer women a place to be heard, a place to learn from. This process that you guys, this journey that you've started with these segments is just what a gift. And I think the timing is really perfect. I think we're all sort of sick and tired of I really believe that this is a spiritual revolution that's happening right now, and that people are coming back to love and authenticity and connectedness and community. And what a great offering you're giving. So thank you. Thank you for being willing to do this. Thank you for being willing to have a conversation with me today. That was really beautiful. Thank you for inviting me, and I hope you invite me again.
Absolutely. We could have you like constantly. You're
well,
amazing. Thank you for all the wisdom and love that you share all the time. Like social media and the work you do here today. Like we would have you absolutely over and over again.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
beautiful. And I'm so
it's not
grateful
even
to
it's
know
not
both
even
of
an
you.
it's not even an invitation. It's God's mission that injected her into this.
Yeah.
So, like honestly, when are we givers going to win in the end? And I think this is what I really want to take to the world. It's, yeah, there's nothing wrong with giving, but can we not have each other's back? Can we try not to? Collaboration is such a difficult thing. It's one of the greatest heartbreaks for me in
Me
my
too.
life. It's trying to give and collaborate, but then we overgive and then it's not appreciated and then it's not reciprocated and all that stuff. But now I'm not joking. The three of us sitting here, I know that we all have each other's back. We all care about each other. We all want each other to shine. And I think it's because we've done the work where we don't need to in any great way. Of course, we still need to, but when we're together, we don't need to. We
No.
just want each other to shine. And I think this is going to be huge and powerful because the only thing that matters to people right now in the world, the only struggle is people are not belonging. I'm sorry. They just don't feel a belonging anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to bring to the world now. How to belong without needing to be anybody other than you. You can sit here in silence and grab whatever you need. You can talk and give whatever you want. But in the end of the day, we have to be considerate and conscious about each other's needs as well. And I think givers tend to be too considerate outside of themselves. But how about if we created a circle of love where, let's say, for example, today Catherine needed to really share something, and we just step aside and hold her up because today is her day. So what? So tomorrow will be Nancy. The next day it will be Martha. I don't care.
Doesn't matter. It's like whatever, just let it flow.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You know
Yeah.
what? My husband has a ongoing text with his college buddies, and I don't know how many years. So they get together once a year for like 35 years.
I love
Amazing.
that.
And since COVID, there's like 20 guys on a rolling text. Sometimes Charlie's phone will ding at 4 in the morning because somebody is in whatever country, or these are Tufts college buddies. And whoever wants to get on, get on. Whoever doesn't, doesn't. And if somebody's struggling, then they'll have a private phone call. or meeting or whatever. And I think that would be such a cool thing for groups of women, like what we've done in Mastermind, Nancy, when they have the little pods.
Yeah, I
Like,
love.
why isn't there a pod of love that people, or a text of love where women can just something simple like that? Who are the people that bring out the best in you? Who are the people that you feel like really call you up that are there? Invite them to be a part of an ongoing text. Stay connected. And if you do need to just vent, then, ask somebody, hey, who's available? I need to get something off my chest or
Great.
whatever. And whoever is watching this, I wish for you to do something like that. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to, create that with just a few people, and just start reaching out and being a little more connected than what we have been lately in the world.
I would
I
be so
totally
awesome. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think for those watching on YouTube right now, put in your comments and what your needs are and what would you like to see. And I think that's really important that we open up dialogue, and it's not shaming, it's not cancel culture, it's just speak your truth. However, there is a requirement. Speak your truth with the intention of getting out of the dark and further into the light. I think that's
Right.
the key.
Because there's two kinds. Once somebody said there's two ways of crying, and I didn't understand it at the time, and I think it's same thing with speaking. There is, I want to get out, or I want to stay in, right?
Correct.
And so the kind of people that we want in our circle, in our bubble of love, are the people that are like-minded, that really they want to grow and they want to evolve. And all evolving is just getting those wounds of childhood healed so that you can be who you already are. And we use windows frequently in metaphysical talk. The window is there, right? It's just soot on the window. You just got to wipe that off. And that's all healing is, that the therapy part, the looking backwards part, that part is healing. And all healing is just resolving that stuff. And then the self-growth is shining that window. That's all it is. The window doesn't change. We are perfectly imperfect, just like everybody else. And all that evolution is healing the old stuff and shining who we already are, so we can be the embodiment and have the highest and best version of ourselves as possible in this life, which is the purpose. Purpose isn't self-serving until we get ALS, like Dr. Mate talks about. Isn't self-serving so we die old and tired and whatever. How can we set aside time to encourage each other and take care of ourselves and meet our own needs? And that, we talked about exercising 2 days a week. I do weightlifting 2 days a week, and then a couple days a week, almost every day I walk in the woods. Is have no earbuds. It was just on the Today Show the other day. They did brain study on walking in the woods with, or parks with earbuds and without, and it was just amazing the difference. I always listen to books on tape or Audible or whatever. No more. I'm taking those out, and hearing the sounds of nature does stuff to our biology, to our brain. Listening to the birds, feeling that wind on our face, having our feet on the earth. There's so many things that we can do for ourselves and each other in this quantum world of women.
Oh, yes. The quantum is where it's at. You know why? Because the quantum is we can see things without it hitting our ego, our fears, all right? We can see things, but still be removed enough emotionally to be able to see the truth without falling trapped into it, that rabbit hole. And what you just described is so key. My husband, every day for 2-3 hours, like literally, he's in the woods without, he doesn't wear earbuds anyways, Kevin. But he'll send me pictures of, yesterday he sent me a video of a baby porcupine. A
Beautiful.
baby porcupine rolling, like climbing on the branches, and then it's just unbelievable the gifts, the gifts that he sees. It brings his soul back to being human because he's so in
Yeah.
his head, right? But when he sees this, like a mother turkey with 16 little babies, and they didn't even see him because his energy is so calm that they just are there. And I'm like, how come I don't see anything ever? And he's like, that's why I don't bring you. I go there to be with the animals, not to repel them, Susan.
But when you're in the woods, you're in the quantum. Like it's a whole
You're in
other
the quantum.
level, right? You are so in the quantum when you're there. It's like, it's powerful. It's one of my favorite things, but my family hates going for walks with me because I hug too many trees. Like it takes us like 3 hours to do a 40-minute walk. Like, and I'm talking to everything, like fascinated by a woodpecker, like drive them crazy. Like Luke loves them, Brady loves them, but I'm a little too excessive, but they're so beautiful.
That's
Amazing.
why reconnect and anchor back into the quantum, into nature. Nature is the most beautiful, calming thing. There's nothing chaotic about nature. Really, if you want to bring your inner peace back to normal, at least a baseline temporarily, go into the woods, spend a lot of time in nature. I've had to learn to appreciate it. I was born a city person. I lived and I thrived in the city, but after meeting Kevin, I really learned to embrace country and just the woods, and we're surrounded by trees, and I love trees. I love mountains. He loves water, but just get back to the basics. Can we not? And like you said, Catherine, take those AirPods off. You don't need another Audible self-help thing. You don't need another book. You don't need any external stuff. Everything is inside. And I think that's a start every day. If you want to do something self-care that is cheap and easy to do, take a half an hour break somewhere. Instead of watching TV, go take a walk by the water. Go take a walk.
I love that. I'll do a little post-it and or a 3x5 card. Lately it's trust. So, my great grandchild was born 9 weeks early. And there's life happens. There's stuff that happens. We can get, oh my gosh, into the, chaos and what if thinking. That's my deal. So I have a little pink post-it and I put the word I trust. And then I put it on my computer. So as I'm doing my work, if I start to get worried, I trust. I trust. And that's my mantra when I walk through the woods. I trust. And then I think about all the things I have to be grateful for because we program our mind to look at the glass half full. And the reason that I do that is because I like to feel expanded, not constricted. I like to feel at peace, not worried and freaked out. So you get to choose the way you want to feel and then use your mind to get you to that state. And it's just a skill, and skills can be learned.
Absolutely, Catherine. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And Nancy, are there any last words before we go? Because we can go on for hours on this topic. Like literally, we're creating a master class around this. Catherine, we're gonna have to talk because we need three of us. But Nancy, any last words before we leave everybody about how to mend a broken heart?
Yeah, absolutely. As you do your healing and say you're setting goals or whatever, visions of what you want, be open to those visions shifting as you continue your healing process, as you continue to remove those energetic blocks or those subconscious blocks or the pain that you've been carrying as a child, doing the shadow work. Be open to expanding more and more with your visions, because what you're thinking, what you want now is in relation and at the vibration of where you are in your self-love, your self-worth, your connection to the creator. But as you continue to heal and grow, your visions will expand. And there might be something even brighter for you, something you never even imagined possible that you will attain as you do your healing process. But you are a co-creator with the creator, with God. So you were created by the most loving force in the world. So you may think you want something, but the being that created you knows what you were created for. So be open, be in flow, and be compassionate with yourself on the journey, because it can be hard, but it's so worth it. So don't give up. You're so worth it.
This conversation has been so amazing for me. Like, honestly, my heart was full the entire time. I could just feel the fullness. But I mean, one thing I do want to say to everybody, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Catherine, Nancy. I mean, honestly, I love being with you guys. We have so many things that we need to share, and this is not the last conversation between the three of us. But the one thing I do want to leave everybody with is never give up on love. Never give up on love. Never give up on being loved. It does take learning, but never give up on it, because love is light. So it's if you're going to be in that cave of darkness where you feel with a broken heart or with disappointments and anything like that, keep your eyes on even the most smallest twinkle of a light. Keep your eyes on the light, because that is love. Never give up on love. Never shut your heart down. Work towards surrounding yourself with situations and education that enables you to move forward towards the light as it gets bigger and bigger. And yeah, listen to our conversations. We're trying to keep you moving towards that light. We understand that sometimes it feels dark. I get it. But at what point do we just lift ourselves up? Because we're the only people that can lift ourselves up, number one and foremost. And in the world of coaching or healing, we cannot want it more than you want it for yourself. So stay connected, never give up on love, because that's not living anymore. And yeah, listen to our conversations. And especially when Catherine comes back, man, we're going to amplify this, because I'm surrounded by, and if you look at the camera, I'm surrounded by love. Like these are queens of love in different ways. Love sprinkler, love amplification. It's just, I'm surrounded by love right now. And all I am is when you're in a car and you're driving, I'm the cruise control. I keep things on an even keel so that you can keep going. The cruise control maintains a certain speedometer. And that's the thing. Sometimes we'll go over the speed limit. Sometimes we go too slow. Either which one is dangerous. So I'm just the cruise control. And I think it's really important that we just keep focusing on moving forward as we're healing. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And Catherine Nassi, oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love all of you. Thank you for being here. And remember, you are love. Like Catherine said, you don't have to become something different. Your truth is already within you. You just need to peel back those layers. And thank you. I love being here with you guys. I love you so much, Susan. And you are love as well.
Yeah. I think it's so important that we teach each other how to trust again. That's a huge thing. It's trust is the most important thing because it revolves around love. So yeah, so I'm all about trust and truth. That's why truth, trust.
Yes.
But yeah, stay tuned for other episodes, because that's what we're going to be talking about, is how to strengthen that heart so that we can allow that love in. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And thanks, Catherine. Love you. Love you,
Love you guys.
Nancy.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Love you.